Ms. Samapatwe, the line disappointed us there earlier. We've got you back now on the phone, and my understanding is that as part of dealing with corruption, the president proposed at the last NEC meeting that close family members of ANC leaders and government officials must not do business with the state. Some of your comrades in the NEC rejected that proposals because they seemingly want their kids, their relatives, to continue benefiting from the state through their proximity to power.
As Mkmva, we also discussed that issue and came to a conclusion that in denying family members of politicians not to do business with state, it will be really denying them their constitutional right. Let's take, for an example, what Comrade Kgalema said on Sunday, that during Comrade Thabo Mbeki's presidency, Merane was appointed to do some work for government. He was not appointed because he was a relative of Thabo Mbeki, but he was appointed because of his expertise that he has. So if I've got my brother who is married somewhere, staying alone there, sometimes other families, they don't speak to each other. You only know that he's involved in business. And just because he is my brother, and I don't know what is he doing, then he must not do business with government. I think it's unfair with that one.
But then the association of those business, people, businessmen and women, their association with government officials and senior ANC leaders is being abused. Because now there's also that issue of conflict of interest that we need to speak about. Because conflict of interest is advantage through proximity. So you can't really take that away. That's the reality of the situation.
You know, this thing is very easy, and there are people who are misinterpreting this thing. And it's because when they feel pressure, they interpret things wrong. There is the law that officials that are in government cannot do business with government. Now, when those people, if their relatives are there and they influence the outcome, that's corruption. And there is a law that says you can excuse yourself from that adjudication if you're going to adjudicate. Excuse yourself in that adjudication. But really to deny my child who went to school, specializes in something, and government calls for such skills, and he or she applies. And just because she's a child of Kevin Mapache, she can't be appointed.
So
it's really unfair.
So in other words, as the Mkmva, are you okay? Do you think it's okay for Kusela Diko's husband, weSizwe, to do business with the health department in Gauteng, which is headed by Health MEC Bandile Masuku, who also happens to share a close relationship with the Dikos?
Look, as I spoke about excusing yourself, and if you are a leader of a particular department, and you know exactly that is my friend, and he has applied, I know the implications of this if they can get exposed. To do the right thing is to say, I must not get involved in this thing. But the problem is what the Treasury did. Once the Treasury called for suppliers, and it does not put conditions that this criteria applies. You know, if they would have put a criteria that if the people who are involved in medical, something medicine, it would be better. But if you just open it unended and you don't put the criteria, that's why you'll have problems.
Some people listened to you earlier speaking about corruption with no sense of irony, given that you yourselves, as the Mkmva, have been linked to state capture through your association and relationship with the Gupta family. You've defended them in the past. So one wonders how serious they must take your tough talk on corruption.
Look, we have long been saying this thing as Mkmva, that we do business with anyone who has got the interest of the former freedom fighters at heart. We don't select what this and not that one. So if by then the Guptas gave us an opportunity to do business, it was not on a corrupt way that we were doing corruption. They volunteered that we are giving Mkmva cadres this because they know the plight of the freedom fighters. And we hope that our country was supposed, first and foremost, to look after the cadres of the former freedom fighters. So there was no corruption. Even if any other person would have wanted to do business with us. In fact, we are lobbying many business people to come and do business with us. So we don't do corruption. That was not corruption.
Seeing that you are unhappy about the leadership of the ANC under Cyril Ramaphosa as president, do you think he deserves to serve another term?
Look, I think people did not understood what we said, and interpreting it in their own way. What we said in the statement is that we have got the NEC that is paralyzed because of factionalism. Now, President Ramaphosa is the head of the organization. And as the head of the organization, you have to be decisive and give guidance. Equally so is the President of the Republic. And he has acted in many instances in government. So if the ANC and the government, which the ANC is a leader, does not speak to each other, then there's a paralysis. Now, our problem is that people are complaining outside, and we cannot pretend as if we don't know about that and we compromise the ANC. So as Mkmva was saying, we're not going to be silenced, we're not going to keep quiet. We want decisiveness in the leadership of the ANC. As they did about COVID-19, the same should happen with what is happening now.
Mkmva President Mkmva, thank you so much for your time this evening.